Peace and love, you beautiful miracles for a spiritual level of being. Nathan here from a spiritual level of being, and today I want to discuss Baal or Baal. Now, the Christians and Jews might think that Baal was Yahweh's rival. Now, this is not the case. The two were in fact brothers. Now, Baal was seen as a Canaanite deity, but in fact he was a deity throughout many Middle Eastern cultures, including the Israelites. Now, he was seen as a god of fertility, a sky god, and god of storms, god of weather. So he would cause rain that would, in exchange, fertile the crops. So, god of fertility. Now, his consort or wife was Asherah. Some would state Atharat in some other cultures. Now, some also seen him as a descendant of El's children. So, El's children, so descendant through El's line. Now, Yahweh and El and Baal as well were all connected. Now, Yahweh and Baal were both the sons of El, and their mother was Asherah. And later on, Baal would also marry Asherah being his consort. Yahweh would also marry Asherah, being his consort. The two deities were so much alike, they end up replacing Baal with Yahweh. Now, El had many titles the same as Baal. Baal had many titles the same as Yahweh. Yahweh having many titles the same as El, being the Most High. El also being called El Shaddai. Yahweh also becoming El Shaddai. Now, both Yahweh and Baal were both lesser deities. Now, they would say that Baal ordered and even accepted human sacrifice. So did Yahweh. He accepted sacrifice quite often in the Bible. Now, Yahweh's enemy was Satan, who tried to usurp heaven. Baal's enemy was a god of the underworld, who also tried to usurp heaven. Satan being the ruler of the underworld, hell, here in plain soaring. Now, what made Yahweh and Baal rivals wasn't them two becoming rivals, it was the people making them rivals. Different religions having rivalries with each other, and in exchange this would make those two deities rivals because these two religions didn't like each other. Now, it was more than that, more than two religions, it's just an example. Now, in ancient Israel, there was many different versions of their faith. Some worshipped Yahweh and Asherah as husband and wife, king and queens of heaven. Some worshipped multiple deities. Some worshipped Elyon and Yahweh, but seeing Elyon as the Most High God. Now, before a monarchy was established in Israel, it was basically, the land was divided by 12 tribes, which elected a judge who would be the leader of wars and during conflicts. The last judge would elect Saul as the king of the Israelites, and these 12 tribes also had their own views and own faiths. And later, during much later times, persecution would go on, including persecution of Asherah, and they would merge her role with more of Yahweh. Now, King David, who killed Goliath, giant of the Philistines, he ended up joining the Philistines and gathering a bunch of other ethnic communities, which he called his mighty men, and he ended up conquering his homeland. Now, he killed off the old royal family, he had all their throats slit, he had them all lined in a row, slit their throats one by one, including children. So he was not a nice man, he ruled his kingdom like a mafia boss. But the point is, back in these times, the Jewish faith was very different. There's even stories that Moses would mention even Asherah. And this is because there were many different varieties of the Jewish faith. The Jewish people themselves derived from the Canaanite people. And so this is why their religions were ultimately very similar. And ultimately, the Israelites would form their own religion and become a new culture. But really, they were the same people divided by religion. So it's interesting when you go right back, because we have found ancient Jewish sites with statues and even clay and stone tablets of Asherah and Yahweh together. We have also have other such items that show Elyon, Baal and Yahweh, all these gods together throughout ancient communities and their stories. So throughout the centuries, we have often met other cultures. Cultures have formed new cultures through new ideas. We're humans, we're creatures of habit. Sometimes we don't always get along, and sometimes we move and we form new communities. So peace and love, everyone. I love you all. Connect to one mind and soul. Namaste.